Everybody, Belong family. And after yesterday and today, we're family. We've made it. Here's our last session for the inaugural Belong Autism event. And I hope it's been as great and even better of a day for you than it has been for me. But I'm pretty fired up, I gotta say. I'm also very fired up that we get to hear from May Roberts a second time. And if you were not in her earlier session because you were enjoying one of the other speakers, you are in for a treat. I'm not gonna steal her thunder, but I am gonna welcome her up. May Roberts, come on up, close us out. And remember, after this session, we'll be right back here to take a group picture all together in our Belong t-shirts. Thanks, May.
Marty. You're wonderful. Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that I got to be here today. Of course, yesterday. Because when I heard this event was going to happen, I was the first one to jump out of my bed and say, oh my God, is this real? That's what I said. And how I actually got the link information, it was from a brother in one of the Miami church, the Florida church, and I've been kind of helping him a little bit, and he's on a spectrum, and he was so bummed that he couldn't be here. And so it was before Marty, posted on, social media, and no one knew this was. And then a week after, surely I see all over the place. And so I was just so thrilled that this was happening. And I got very emotional about it. And so I said, Marty, I want to share what I have learned so far. Okay, there's so much that God had put me through this journey, and living with somebody, my husband, and he's on a high functioning Asperger's, and and we've been married 22 years this year, and for the first 14 years. Been very difficult to the point I couldn't deal with the life. So I ended up trying to commit suicide one time, second time, third time. And because I didn't know anything, he didn't know anything. And I had other grief, the things that was going on behind the scene, but it was really difficult. And I really thought that I was getting a lot of help, seeing a therapist, going to marriage workshops, and listening everything and anything that could possibly that I thought would help. And church, I've openly shared in my church, and it didn't help. It actually backfired. I felt judged in so many ways. And, it's not to blame the church. Probably they didn't know what to do. They didn't have a clue about what we were dealing with, because what seemed outside seemed pretty perfect couple. You know what I mean? And so that went on for quite a bit. And then when he got diagnosed 10 years ago from this day, he didn't fully accept it, embraced it, which made it even harder for me to just trying to see, okay, now you should know, now you should get some help. But, he says, I don't need anything, I'm fine. It's you having problem. So that's where I started my journey, and finding a good autism specialist and trying to figure out as a spouse how to live with him, right? Because as a disciple, I say, I don't want to break this marriage. He's an amazing man, such a good man, high integrity, responsible lawyer. You name it. It's one of those characters that any woman wants to have it as a husband. That's him. And so that's what I did. And the more that I learn about this space of autism, this spectrum thing, it got me even more wanting to go deeper and deeper and deeper because there's so much to learn. And I don't think I'm an expert. I know enough. I don't think I'll ever be expert, right? And I don't know if anybody can say they're expert in this space because it's just different times and different situations. Day-to-day things all changes, right? So with that, I wanted to spend some time this hour really trying to, I would say, send a message. Hello, everybody. And online church leaders, I hope that you guys can listen this. Wanted to really share the heartfelt message to people that not only that you're living in it, but also the community, especially church community. Because I will tell you, not that we need a scripture. I really hate it when I put this thing. We don't need to be reminded. We don't need to be reminded, okay? If you've been a disciple, you know these scriptures. It's not that we don't know the scripture. We just don't act on it. We don't practice it. We don't living in it. And that gets me very frustrated. Why? I ask a lot of questions. But then I was one of them. Had no clue. Back then, I was the one say, hey, you know what? You should pray more. You should read more scriptures. You should go fasting more. I was one of them. My ignorance, not knowing what it was. Because I didn't have anyone around me then. Now, it's everyone around me because my eyes are open, right? And so, again, I love the greatest commandments. That sums up everything what we do. What do you say? Love God and love people as you love yourself. We forgot that part. And I'll tell you why. We often focus on loving God, of course, loving others. And we end there. We end there. We tend to neglect ourselves, our own well-being, caring for one another, so that I could do better job in loving my neighbor, right? You heard that. If you don't have it, you can give it to anybody. And so absolutely important to care for yourself. It takes loving and trusting yourself that you are good. You got what it takes to have this life, right? So that's the really thing that I want to really kind of mention it to, everyone that here, but also online and especially church community. Why can't we practice this, right? And so with that.
Hey, Nancy. Hi, Lionel. Oops.
Happen again, huh? So hold on. There was a different, actually. Okay, here's a video I want you to watch.
We are all different, and that's wonderful. Some differences are easy to see. Height, hairstyle, eye color, and so on. Other differences can't be seen. Our favorite foods, fears, or special skills. Interestingly, the way we see the world is also different. For instance, what do you see in this drawing? Most people see a duck, but some of you might have seen a rabbit. Whichever you saw, you are correct. This is just a trick drawing to show you that all brains work differently. The brain is your body's computer. It works differently for all of us and controls how you learn. That's why we are all good at different things. How you feel, which is why we all feel different emotions. And how you communicate. Sometimes the brain is connected in such a way it affects the senses and how we perceive and read situations and interactions. This is known as autism. Many people have autism, so it's likely you already know someone who is autistic. And for this reason, it's useful to know a little bit about autism. The special wiring inside an autistic brain can sometimes make the person good at tasks we may find difficult, such as mathematics, drawing, or music. It can also do the opposite, and activities we find too easy are incredibly difficult to them, such as making friends. The senses constantly send information to your brain about your surroundings and other people. However, when a person's brain and its senses don't communicate well, the brain can become overwhelmed and confused, affecting how they see the world. Picture yourself walking down the street. This is how an autistic brain may experience the same walk. Scary, isn't it? Sadly, in many cases, the person can't say out loud how they feel. So even though there's chaos going on in their heads, they seem okay on the outside, unable to ask for help. We all develop behaviors to help us feel calm in uncomfortable situations. We may look away, hug ourselves, chew our fingernails, fidget, bite our lips, and so on. Equally, autistic people develop behaviors that help them cope with these intense moments. These actions may seem unusual, but they're just their way to feel calm. When they happen, it means they are having a hard time. The kind thing to do is not to give them an even harder time by getting cross, ignoring them, or mocking them. Remember, just because a PlayStation can't read an Xbox game, it doesn't mean it's broken. People with autism need friends who are willing to take the time to know them. With good communication and plenty of patience, everyone would be better off. People with autism are not ill or broken. They simply have a unique view of the world. And with a little support from their friends, they might just be able to share that view with us. Autism can make amazing things happen.
Right? Who can relate to that? And I think you guys heard from Brooke and earlier this morning, and we just heard her session here that she talked about her experiences, right? Being an autistic, kind of spectrum, and she talks about her own experiences, right? Because everyone has very different experiences, and some are common, some are not different. It varies. Everyone is different. So as a church community, and even a family system, whether it's immediate family is obviously very much involved, but we need more than that. We can't just do it within our own family system. It's just too much to carry. It's too draining. It's exhausting. And you feel it day in, day out, and no one sees it because you alone and you do it in the dark. It feels like it. So I'm going to charge all of you how to advocate yourself, how to actually ask for help without a guilt, without a shame, okay? Because that is your right. Everybody has a right, many rights. That's one of the right that not a lot of people, again, exercise, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So a little bit of education, right? I know Brooke did a great job on what it is, from her perspective. And again, I really want to show you what is it that what this neurodivergent brain is doing it. And I'm not a neuroscience doctor, but I had to study a little bit about it as my husband here. He's on a high functioning spectrum, and he actually, thank you, honey, for giving me a charge to go and study, and then now I get to share and help other people. Something that I never dreamed, ever even planned. This was totally God that I'm here sharing this with you, not because I'm an expert. It's never been done, learning. And so, but just a little bit of information can make a difference, okay? Especially people that here, you guys are the one that has to be educated first, because you are going to educate yourself, okay? Including Andy's more so, and the family. And there's some video that I thought I had in another one. It's a really great video. And I will share it. And if anybody wants to watch it. It's a great way to share with a friend, people that may not know, and without words. The one we watched is also a good one. And again, you don't need a lot of explanation. This should help the non-Andy to understand what it is. It's really not the personality default. They're not having a sort of a defined behaviors. It's really what's going in their brain system, okay? And that has to be really explained to other people so they understand. It's a regulation issue. It's a sensory problem. All those things is ability to focus and hyperfocus or lack of focus, right? All those things that could happen with someone that are on a spectrum. So I just wanted to say again, and a lot of people, they say, can you fix my son and daughter when they come and see me? I go, what? It's not to fix. There's no one here that I need to fix it, including me. God didn't design it in a way that some other human being has to fix it. Okay, his creation was perfect. Didn't he say that in Genesis? It was good. He didn't say perfect. Why? He wanted to give us a willpower so we could make it better. But we were already good enough to do this, right? So remember that, if anything. You are good enough. There's nothing to fix. That doesn't mean we have things are lacking. We all have strengths and weaknesses that we can work on it to become the better version of ourselves, right? Yeah, we got to learn, right? And that's just given. That's a default as a human being. And so, I mean, different wiring, different needs, different strengths, same worth. But if we don't really look at this, all you're looking at is what you see and outside their behaviors, and people who doesn't have the knowledge and understanding, they go like, ooh, something's wrong. Ooh, I don't want to be near. Oh, he's weird. Okay? Why? It's not because the person is weird or something's wrong. It's the lack of understanding and information they have. So is that their fault? No. But we got to advocate them, teach them. Otherwise, they can read my mind, right? That's why it's so important. And the reason I say different strength, there is a different strength more than neurotypical people. Mostly people on a spectrum, they're wired in a way that they can hyper-focus, they can go to depth to the subject, they have ability to focus on pay detail, attention to detail, all these things that neurotypical, sometimes it's hard to come by. So if you look around the world, all these genius people who created, invented, okay, who's that? I don't need to say it, okay? I want to say 99% neurodivergent, including musicians, composers, okay? Painters, you got it. Writers. We just don't talk about it, okay? Because back in the day, no one ever really talked about this. It was 1940s that this doctor first said the name autism. It was early child autism. And he said, this is early childhood autism, autistic traits. 1940, okay? So remember, this existed way before that. And so there's a correlation. Why do you think that there's more people are coming out now? Why? Yes, awareness. But the adults that were back then, undiagnosed, they all grow up living as an adult, have a kids. Now their kids are being diagnosed. So, parents, because it's a mostly genetic, right? Although there are other components, it's most likely genetic. That's what they say so far. And I think so, I believe so. And so that's why it's coming out more. And I'm so happy that people are coming out and talking about it more. The professionals are now sharing more information. These are all good things. And so it kind of like, some ways, makes this name a little more neutral. We're not there yet completely. But in my earlier class, I talked about the history of autism and why people still have that perception. That name feels like a negative, right? Because a lot of times there's a manual that defines a mental health disability, DSM, and they register certain names and criteria. They determine how they're going to measure and all of that. And Brooks nodding it, yes. Yeah, call me on it if I'm wrong. And so the one that makes it what goes onto that manual. And autistic, unless it's a level down, gets onto it. High functioning, Asperger's, not on it. So people who's high functioning on a spectrum, they don't get support at school, work, society, none of that. They're left all by myself to figure out. That causes families to do almost all work, if you think about it. And so, again, you know, my hope is that someday they will recognize the differences. Someday, maybe after I'm gone, I don't know that. But that's really my prayer, because they do need a different support, right? And so I just want to make sure that you have that history, okay? And again, different sensory processing filter. Everybody knows, right? Some has high sensory issues, very sensitive to lights, hearing, noise, texture, you name it, heat, touch, food smell, right? Thank you. I can't even name it because everybody's different. And what do you say? Are you picky? Like, what? Just get it, just wear it, or you know, just eat it, whatever it's on the plate. Mom, that's not it. And they don't know. They don't have a word to it, right? That's the thing. And so until somebody say, okay, he's on a sort of this trait that his sensory is probably overloaded. Or seeking, right? There's some things soothe them, comfort them. So they go look for it. Quiet room can be one of those things. So they have a little more needs than neurotypical, I would say. Neurotypical, we have that needs too, right? But it's the degree, frequency, the intensity. That's what makes difference, okay? And so we can just brush it off, say, hey, go figure it out. Well, not really, okay? And so, again, interest-based nerve system. Brooke talked about special interests, how she got into the campus ministry, say, hey, anybody interested in dungeon game or something? And then everybody showed up, and she kind of knew that. Who's going to show up? Yes. They're not driven by meaning. By meaning, I'm saying. And not just demands, okay? So you can say, hey, this is good and whatever. If it's not their interest, you're going to lose them. Sorry. And then you say, oh, you're defining. Like, what are you doing? You're just like not interested. Like, that's where the relationship comes very challenging. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to relate to somebody that doesn't have the similar interest. Very difficult, right? And in reality, we can expect people to find the same interest if they don't like that particular thing. So it's a challenging. And they do their way of processing things, the way they are able to pay attention to details, it's like a beyond the average. Okay, so if I like draw the bell curve, right? All the bell curve has a normal distribution. There's about 60 to 80% people falls into the middle ground, right? You all learn that from a middle school or high school. And those are what we call people on neurotypical brain wiring. On the side, left and the right, 10%, 10%, okay, on each side, they're the one tends to be on the spectrum. They're what we call some genius people, brilliant in their work, what they do. A lot of doctors, engineers, scientists, musicians, ministries, missionaries, military. We have it a lot in our church, just so you know. I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's a reality, okay? But that's a strength. If you think about it, that's why they are so good at what they're doing, right? Because they can go deep into really studying it, digging it out. So you got to know, for those who are on an ND, you need to find out what your strength is. If you can find that out, it doesn't matter. You'll find something that you can show your values, okay? So focus on it. Don't be lazy on it, because that's very important, because it could set up for success for your life, for your life. So just want you to do that. And again, what is a neurotypical? I think somebody, I don't know if I gave you some definition of it, is that neurotypical brains like myself, we're very socially intuitive. Okay, we read people's emotions. We can read the meaning in between lines. Okay, we can kind of get a sense when somebody say, "Oh, you know what I mean." I don't know what you mean. Spell it out. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And so again, they are very, if you're looking at that, most of them are context-driven. That's why they are very good at what they're doing it. And neurodivergent brain, again, very detail-driven. My husband is so detailed, you know what I mean? Guess what? He makes me feel like I can do anything right. Really, that was a big struggle for me. I cannot live up to your measurement. Your standard is so way high. You know, I'm a really high performer at my work. When I come home, he makes me feel very small. Made me feel, sorry, honey, passed. Very small. And I was walking on an eggshell, like, oh, is he going to be, you know, is he going to correct me again today? Is he going to try to say that this is wrong? You see why I had to go to ER? It was part of my problem. I didn't know how to figure my own issues, okay? But they are very sensory aware, right? And they are meaning focused. So we hope that we know it so we can share those things with our, you know, friends and extended families. Example, they may not know that, right? Neither is wrong. It's just simply different experiences. They experience life very different than us, and that's a fact, okay? So it's just a fact. So this is a lot of content, but I'm not going to go through it. I wanted to kind of show you there's how it works depends on all those elements here. Okay, you can use it to share with anybody who's more interested in learning. It's a great chart, okay, why it works differently, okay, different than me. Instead of saying, oh my God, I don't get it. You know what I mean? So, by the way, I'm going to share the chart with all of you. I'll have Marty make it accessible so you don't have to, you know, trying to take a note. So, I wanted to tell you, again, I'm being an advocacy for them, okay? What it feels like and what actually helps is something that we as a community needs to know and understand better, okay? Because oftentimes, you know, I mean, again, it's none of anybody's fault, by the way. You know, our church congregation, we have a great the music team, right? What do you call it? Yeah, worship team. And the drums and all kind of instrument, and it's like so loud, as even a neurotypical, like, honey, this is like, do I become a neurodivergent just living with you 22 years? Seriously. I don't know why they play so loud. And some of our friends who has a neurodivergent brain say, May, I can sit there. She always sit way back or go out, step out. And it's not just one. And I see a lot of people from back watching, they go like this. Okay? It's a lack of awareness. Probably they don't know, okay? And those are simple as that one. If they cannot tone down the sound, then just say, hey, those that who may have an issue with noises, feel free to go out, step back, sit on the, you know, the last row, whatever. Make it open so that they don't feel like, oh, if they're sitting, especially in the middle of the row, I don't want to get up in the middle of this worship, right? And so how do we invite them to feel free to do what they need to do it to make themselves comfortable, right? My husband moves, I move together, then I go like, anyone needs to move back, right? Simple as that. So very important. And Brooke talked about it. Executive function strain, right? Because the amygdala is bigger, so those are, you know, the sensory issues and reactive issues coming from there because they tend to react to the situation. So the filter is kind of like not really, you know, not working properly sometimes. So they need for clarity and structure. We all know that, right? That's what they need. If you just leave them on a free schedule and whatever you do today after you do homework, good luck. You will not get it done, okay? And they have a project a week, you know? long project. You wait. I said, have you done it? I said, oh, I'm working on it, Mama. Okay, make sure you do it. And then the last day, he said, okay, I want to see it. Oh, Mom. Mom gets upset. It becomes her now, neuron system is overacting it. So she needs to calm down, right? Again, I see, quite a bit of high school kids, ADHD, ADHD, OCD, co-occurring symptoms. That's a major problem. Getting up in the morning, always late. Dad gives a ride. Dad's late. Dad's having a problem at work. What are you doing, Dad? Right? And first thing I do you have a structure? No. Every day, every morning, Mom knocks the door. Get up, get up, get up. Down. Breakfast ready, ready, ready. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Still, she's not down here. Right? So I say, okay, let's just all calm down. So I work with her. I teach her how her brain is, first of all. Okay? Because she feels guilty. She feels down on her. She thinks, how can I not do this? Am I lazy? Maybe I can't really do anything. Starting to doubt herself. I say, I don't know, you may be lazy, but I think this is partially, but I think part of it is coming from here. So don't judge yourself yet. So we create a structure together, routine, key. Doesn't matter. Even if they get up and don't do anything, you still have a routine, okay? And very important, schedule. Once she implemented it, and I gave that to parents to follow through on it, they have to discipline to make sure that the girl follow through it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And 2 weeks after, I said, how are you doing? I asked the girl. Good. Now I don't have to think about it, what I'm going to do, and I got up. I know automatically get up, go to bed, brush your teeth, wash, comb your head, right? And I have my backpack downstairs. And then breakfast, if you're late, this is also part of the routine. Grab it and go. If your dad is late, Dad, leave the house. Make her call the Uber or call someone else to give a ride. That's setting boundaries. Okay? Month later, oh my Lord. I mean, will be a time she's going to sleep. But we got to be patient, okay? She's working hard over time, trying to, regulate her overstimulated, all these sensory things that she's had to deal with it throughout the day. Come home, she's not talking. She goes her room, and she's just like not want to talk. Mom, knocking. Why can't you talk? I'm worried about you. What did happen? Mom, you're causing more stress to her right now. Give her a break, okay? Let her decompress. Let her come out when she needs it, okay? So it was coaching parents first, by the way, before I can actually work with her, okay? So they're in a different place right now. Oh, by the way, the dad, who's diagnosed lately because her daughter is now going, seeing the coach and doing great, okay? So there's some success stories, It's not fixing anything, but it's ongoing. You got to try to make life little less stressful. That's all we are hoping for, okay? And so, change and uncertainty, again, you all know that. We have to make it very clear. My communication with my husband was so bad. I didn't know all this before. I would just make a big bluffy statement and expect him to understand it. No. No. So, very important. And when he gets to me like this, "What's wrong with you?" That was my response. I didn't know that he has some intense things that he needed to regulate. A lot of mistakes, a lot of regrets, but I repented, and I'm at peace right now. And he is getting help, proper coach. That's been amazing, okay? And I see the changes day and night. So that's a hope, okay? Let's see. Again, there's a lot of words here. How are we going to understand to how we love well in practice, okay? Because we all live, but how well are we living? Really, if you were just to check yourself, how am I well living now? If I were to rate scale 1 to 10, right? 1 being lousy, 10 being I'm at the best, what would you do? How would you rate? That's your question, your homework to think about it, really. Okay, it's very important, and for them as well, their life a day, right? How are they doing? Okay, and this is something that I think a church can really, really learn to help them. And when they see it, that it's like, oh, I see something different. I notice something's kind of off. Instead of walking away, especially if you are in a leadership, okay? Very important. Notice it, trying to understand, ask questions, lots of questions. Brooke's favorite words, mine too, question after question. Because a question is coming from curiosity, not from your fear or judgment. So anything do you have? Is there something that I can make you comfortable? Do you need a water? Anything like that. We don't do that. We just don't, because we feel uncomfortable. We don't know what to do, so we walk away. You know what I mean? And so we got to teach our community how to be aware those things, okay? And because they might be experiencing something at the moment, but unless they tell them that I am on a different neurodivergent, therefore my experience is different, and I have a slide, actually, I think I want to go there because it's very important. I'll come back to this one. Very important, self-advocacy, okay? How many of you, it's okay, no judgment, of you actually talks about you are on a spectrum or your loved one is on the spectrum, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's hand should go up, hopefully, by the end of this session, because you know the importance. Especially you, people that are on a different wiring. Okay, you guys are smart enough. You guys need to speak up, need to educate, need to advocate yourself, okay? People can read your mind. Nobody can read anybody's mind. Important. Why? Why does it matter? People cannot support if they don't know what's going on, right? That's why. And it's going to help to reduce the frustration on both sides. Right? You're frustrated, but then people doesn't know what to do and don't have the direction and right way to approach it. They're going to feel bad and frustrated. And then what if they meet the person next time? They're just going to turn around. They don't want to face it. Okay? Important. It protects the individual. It could be something major going on that no one may see because it doesn't show, obviously. So it could be some safety issues there, okay? Important. And as you do this more, it builds a confidence. It builds a dignity. Wow, I'm worth it. If I don't advocate myself, who's gonna do it? Am I going to bring my mom all the time, everywhere I go? No, there's a time for that. But once we enter into adulthood, right, that's where this is something that we have to own it and teach our young men and young women how to do this and why. Because if you guys understand why, then you can do it, okay? It invites the community to share. It becomes a shared responsibility now. It's no longer just a mental health care professional. No, the simple thing, they can do it. They're able to do it. It will help them to actually go into a little bit of a research to know what it is. People are curious, so they can self-study themselves. That's how I studied 10 years ago, right? Creates a long-term change. This is a beginning of this long-term, I hope. Okay, I really hope so. That we can voice freely, honestly, authentically. Okay? God wants us to be honest. Why can't we be honest to ourselves and to our neighbor? Especially in our community, it has to be more safe, most caring. Okay, who comes to church? Healthy? Why Jesus came down? To save a healthy? It's a contradicting what we're doing it. And that's why scripture is really, it's living in my heart. And if I don't see that as a living, practice, it bothers me, but I understand. Not everybody's on the same journey as I am. That's why I'm much more passionate about talking about it. It's okay if I offended anybody, come. I'll ask for forgiveness. I'd rather do that, okay? Again, it's that important why. So if those who didn't raise a hand, I want to encourage you to do that, okay? And really, my hope and prayers are you are all being seen. No matter where you go, you have a place in church, in school, in grocery, in a library, you name it, everywhere. You have to own it. You have to own it. You have to claim it. Don't wait for someone else to say, oh, here's a seat. No. Where's my seat, if you don't mind? Okay? Where can I find? And there are a lot more people that are good and generous and kind out there. They will be able to help you, okay? That's the only way we're going to feel we belong. Because as a human being, the first basic need that we're longing for belonging. We're longing for belonging. That's where the family system is for. God knew that we gonna need that belonging. That's where the attachment happen, right? That's where love and caring and nurturing and protecting, all that happen, right? And it should happen in our church. It's a family. And so I know our church is in a journey trying to really open our eyes to more of areas that we haven't been. I think this is one area that I feel strongly wanted to really appeal to leadership and everybody. We have to do this together. We cannot just expect leadership to do it, okay? Because church is not for us, not just for us, right? But they can be supporting us. So there's a balance to that. Because if you think about it, it's a 1 out of 35 children that are on the spectrum. That's even way back, okay? It's a growing exponentially. 2000, way back, it was a 1 out of 150. 10 years later, 12 years later, they did another statistics, 1 out of 34. What could that be in the next 5, 10 years? Adults, 145, 44. Because the kids are now all diagnosed again, so there's more adults coming out of it. But it's good. At least you know what it is. The mystery is solved, kind of. Okay? And also, I've seen so many people that are misdiagnosed. Makes me mad. Went through so many psychiatrists, therapists, all the doctors, you name it, bipolar, personality disorder, anxiety, depression, whatever. That was a symptom. That was a symptom. And come to me after several years, cutting constantly, missing school for more than 6 months, unable to function day-to-day things. And I go, oh, okay. I say, I need to see everything, what they've done. And this is one area they didn't even think about it. And I noticed that, it's really bad that I can just walk around and diagnose everybody. It's like, I try not to. Because I see it, right? And my heart goes out there. And it's not because it doesn't matter, diagnose or not. Some people don't need to diagnose. Why we need to diagnose somebody? They're not willing to accept, embrace what it is. So they need an official diagnosis to actually say, okay, it's official. Even then, it took a long time, like my husband, I'm sorry, honey, for him to actually embrace it. So it's a very long journey, very long journey. It's a slow process. So all the young adults here, I think you guys are really in a good spot because your parents somehow got there, was able to kind of figure out what it is. So they can get you the proper help, coaching, find the right coaching. Therapy doesn't work, I'm telling you. It works for neurotypical, but if you are in a neurodivergent, ASD/NT relationship, forget it. You need to find an autism specialist. For your own sake, you can go see the therapist. But even then, you come back, you're trying to apply what you learned, doesn't work. You see why it's not working? That's why. So I have the group of therapists, not the therapists, coaches. Most of them are neurodivergent, female, male. Amazing Christians, real Christians, okay? And so I want to share those resources because the sooner that you get the help, the better your life becomes. You can breathe a little bit. Slow progress, but it's still a progress. And I love that Brooke talks about celebrating small victories, and that's a big thing. Go out and get an ice cream, okay? Whatever that you love to celebrate, okay? That's really my last chart. I don't know, we got like how many minutes? 4 minutes? Any questions? I didn't have this in the first class. We ran out of time. They shortened it, but that's okay. So any questions? Yes, Neil.
Do you have anything to say on maybe this is too big or too weird, but the balance between self-denial and acknowledging limitations?
Yeah, valid. That's where you gotta really find a right one and trying to understand why. Why am I not, you know what I mean? Not able to actually get it. There could be something that's blocking too, right? And again, most part it's a spouse, actually, because they are suffering. Believe it or not, it's tremendous stress for the spouses. So they're the ones saying that, I don't care what it is, whether you accept it or not, we need help, kind of thing. But the coaching doesn't really work effectively unless the person fully acknowledges it, okay? And so it will take some time. Like I say, it took a lot of long years for Bruce to really come to, I say, final acceptance. And look at him. I'm like, he shared things like, is that my husband? It could have saved our marriage if he were doing like what he was doing. I mean, really, my story is kind of amazing. I divorced him 2018. I couldn't do it for my safety. I was so sick. And then God intervened after a year later, after I went through transformation, I came back. This is my mission field. Okay, you guys in a mission field, you don't need to go and door knock or go to the Cambodia and do the mission. This is your mission field. If you cannot complete this race, don't even forget about going in a neighbor and knocking the door. Okay, I'm literally saying it. It takes a lot of work, I'm telling you. Even as a professional mental health coach, still very challenging. So I need to focus on my well-being, work on my own trauma, whatever it's causing me to go spin around, that's what I've been focusing on. So as I get better and have a healing taking place, I'm much calmer, I'm much pleasant, and I'm at peace with it, with God. And that's what we want, peace in our life. Because the life and everything going on is so hectic. If we can find that peace and taste that peace, then you know you're doing something right. Okay? So I don't know, Neil, if that answered your question, but probably not, but you can talk to me later. Yes, yes. Anyone else?
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
One, I don't need that. This is me and you. For what does it look like that you finally accept that you're whatever, autistic, whatever the thing is? Because I can read it, I can see it, I can hear, I can listen to all this. And I'm like, I have that, I do that. I know exactly what you're talking about there. But maybe not. Which class should I go to? Where am I supposed to go? And everything is a confusion. So when you recognize that someone has totally gotten it and they can move on and no more questions, what does that look like? And what do you mean it takes years? Because I feel like I'm old. I don't have time to.
No, you're not old. You're just ahead of some of us. So here's the thing.
It took me 64 years to figure it out.
Yes.
I don't have another.
Yes. Now you got to ask question to yourself. How does that impact your life and your relationship? If it's really, then it doesn't matter. You can continue to live as who you are. But if it's something's causing a problem in your interaction with the people, workplace, church relationship, your family relationship, whatever, that like, I wonder why. That's where you say, okay. 1,000 voices talking to me that I'm on something. Okay.
Okay, so when I see the moments that I accept it, everything makes sense. From the moment I can remember childhood forward, so I accept it quickly then. Okay, stop messing around with it. Now here's the second one. I work in a memory care unit, which is really a hodgepodge of all sorts of brain damage, psychotics, schizophrenic. It's everything. And I go in there knowing this about myself, and it's like I use the loops, I have the stress toys, and I'm like, okay, am I doing myself and them a disservice by being in there, or how can I be in there, be who I authentically am, and help them?
Well, are you helping yourself first? That's my question. Okay? Yes, that's a serious question. So you're there, it's a job, it makes paycheck coming in. But again, this is a thing. Oftentimes, people fail and get into trouble because the environment doesn't match with the neuron system. Okay? You probably felt this a long time, but you probably didn't realize why. Environment is not matching. So, in a perfect world, okay, if it's just really, it's messing me up, it's impacting, there's like overflowing impact, I need to think about changing my environment. What could that be? You see? Or you find a way, find a coach, again, they have a lot of ways that can help you, okay, to help yourself first. And then you show up. You're not just there for them, but you are there for you first. You have to remember that. You have a choice. And that's where the help comes, different tools comes, different skill learnings comes. Okay? Lots of them out there. So, I mean, I can send you the different resources that might help you, but that's what it is. Okay? Yeah, good. Okay, I think we are done. We want to get out of here, though, as much as we love it. Right, Adam? Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, May. So